Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. It's Tuesday. I have no idea what the date is. I was going to try and do one of those starts where you go, hi, it's Tuesday, this such and such of December 20. I don't even know why I was going to do that. I have no clue what the date is. All I know is in a few days, it's going to be Christmas. I hope you're all ready. Are you all ready? Let me know your Christmas stories down below. How much shopping you've got done, left to do, not doing. And we'll have a quick look at Santa's little helper. What's he fucking helping? He's not helping anything, is he? Passed out yet again. It's because he's been fighting with that moron cat all morning. But there we go. Dreaming of biscuits, no doubt. Anyway, into the meat and potatoes. Like a Sunday roast. So I'm going to speak on this situation that we have in this Idaho case, where we've got seemingly Kaylee's father has come out, made some statements about the injuries, made some comments about law enforcement, and we're just going to have a quick look on, is he trying to say stuff without saying stuff? You know, is there a lot more information that we can take from what he's saying without him physically coming out and saying it? Because let's look at what this really is. Now, I understand that the likelihood is that there are members in that family who are upset that he is coming out and saying what he's saying. You know, he's the father, and I can imagine that he is going through utter hell. And look, just because we're a family, it doesn't mean that we have to agree. And maybe other family members are coming out and disputing this article and saying it wasn't him. It's because they fear that he could potentially hurt the investigation. Perhaps some in the family trust the process, trust law enforcement, and he's just not trusting them. And maybe there's an internal fight within the family on what's right and what's wrong and how this needs to be handled and how it shouldn't be handled. Because for me, I don't believe that even... I know this, that, you know, you've got Fox News, and Fox News in the US is pretty much like the Sun in this country. And, you know, I get that some of them are more reputable than others and some of them just flat out lie. But I think there is a level to which you've got to say, look, this came from somewhere. I don't think even a sensationalist tabloid would go that far. You know, I know some, and that was quite funny because I heard some people say, look, you don't understand about media in the US. We don't even trust any media, mainstream media anymore. We just get our news from YouTube. And, you know, that's the trustworthy place. But look, everyone has a level that they'll hit, and, you know, they can work within a certain, you know, they've got lines that they can cross and others that they can't. And I can't see this entire thing being fabricated. I believe that he has come out and he has made these statements, because when you think about it, we've heard him say himself and make reference to injuries as such, and, you know, this is just further explaining what he meant by these earlier statements that we heard him say. So let's have a quick look and see whether we can decipher what this upset father is trying to say to us. And what I will say as well is there are a lot of people who feel that him talking is almost making him look guilty. And look, you can be made to look guilty, but I don't think this father has done anything. I genuinely think that he is pissed off, frustrated, angry, and he may know more than what we know. Remember that. And this might be clues to it. So it says, Idaho murder victim Kaylee Goncalves had big open gouges, dad reveals, as he calls cops cowards. You know, let's just touch on this second. For a start, when you're calling someone a coward, what you're saying is these people know information, but they're not putting it out there. And I wonder whether he's calling them cowards because he knows that if they release certain information, it's going to upset some people. And whether he is giving a nod to the fact that he feels that they are scared to mention someone's name or name a suspect because there could be a financial impact to it, you know, whether there's a wealthy family behind it that could potentially threaten to sue if it all goes wrong. This is what I'm getting, you know, to call law enforcement cowards, you know, that's almost like you know what you've got to do, but you're just too scared to do it, you know. And if they know stuff, and like he goes on, and we'll touch on it in a second, but about that people should know what they know, because by hiding that information, you could potentially be putting other people at risk. And someone's going to come unstuck here. Law enforcement could come unstuck if they're not careful. Because if this killer does strike again, if he does, or she, if he does, then with all this stuff in the background coming out and being said, and the finger pointing by the likes of Kaylee's father, that is going to feed into a shitstorm. So there could be a storm coming here. But anyway, let's just head back over to it. But like I say, to say that they're cowards, what are they scared of? What are they scared of? Because you can warn people, you can name a suspect, you can ask for somebody to come in. But to say that they're scared, what are they scared of? A backlash from someone? The father of one of the 4 murdered University of Idaho students described how the victims had big open gouges on their bodies from the sadistic male who killed them, while blasting the tight-lipped local police as cowards. Stephen Goncalves, whose daughter Kaylee was among the murdered students in Moscow, Idaho, said Coroner Kathy Mabbitt had revealed the chilling details when they spoke. Now, let's not forget that I covered this a while back to say that someone had gone on to social media, and again, I get the fact that we don't know what's true, what isn't true, but they had mentioned injuries. And they, again, even that statement is in line with this, in terms of not simple stabbing, but, you know, worse. She says, "Sir, I don't think stabs is the right word. It was like tears, like this was a strong weapon, not like a stab." And let's just touch on this. Now, the weapon we've heard over and over again is the potential that it's a K-bar knife. Now, the K-bar knife was designed for maximum, you know, injury. This isn't what I would call a clean weapon. The whole point of it was to have the functionality to penetrate, to tear, to cause damage, to be effective. And, you know, this is what we're seeing is that potential weapon being effective in what it was designed for. You know, I mentioned this in the live briefly yesterday, that what we're trying to do is stop people coming out and saying that this was not this knife, that it was in fact another weapon, an axe or something like that, because that's where we're going to head with all this. I've already seen at start, I called it. And it says, look, she said these were big open gouges. She said it was quick. These weren't something you were going to be able to call 911. They were not going to slowly bleed out. The grieving father continued. He also described how his beloved daughter's liver and lungs were slashed. You know, that is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Kaylee, 21, was killed along with Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin in the early morning hours of November 13th. The elder Goncalves said while his daughter was in bed with Mogen in their off-campus home when they were both killed, their injuries were not even close to matching. Kernodle, who was in a bed on another floor of the house with her boyfriend Chapin when they died, had defensive wounds and went through a hell of a battle to try to survive, the coroner apparently told Goncalves. And we did touch on this, didn't we? The fact that it would appear, and I stand by it, and I said this yesterday, the fact that I believe this killer entered this house, the idea was to go to the girls and do what he wanted to do there, and it was just in a very unlucky situation that he then came across Ethan, who I believe had heard something, exited the bedroom, leaving that door open, and the killer has subsequently killed Ethan and gone in the room after Xana and then exited the property. But look, there's a lot going on here. But let's just continue briefly. Where are we? Police have yet to name a suspect or even release the profile of the killer, but have revealed the victims were stabbed to death. They have also said the attack was targeted, but only loosely defined what they meant by that. And look here, when we talk about targeted, what does targeted actually mean? Now, for someone to be targeting these, I think this goes on to say this actually, and that is, to be targeted, there has to be a familiarity between the perpetrator and the victim. Something has happened along the way, whether it be an exchange, like we saw at the food truck between, Jack S. and, in that situation being told to fuck off, and was that the trigger? But then you think, could something that little trigger such a massive reaction, but that's what we're saying. When we're saying it's target, we're saying there was a familiarity, there was something that these victims did that triggered the perpetrator. And that in itself, to say that means that this perpetrator, the person who did this, had access to a situation that would lead to that. So that was either someone who was in the immediate vicinity, they were known to them, they were part of their life, or at least on the peripheral of. But that means that this killer is there. They are there amongst them still, unless they have indeed left the area and gone. And is that why the police at this stage are not feeling that they need to say anything? Because they know, or think they know, that there is no immediate danger. We've got to kind of listen to what's going on and decipher ourselves why law enforcement are being as tight-lipped, and why the likes of Kaylee's father are coming forward and saying that they are cowards. There's a lot of information that, when you think about it, it's pointing towards something. Law enforcement are scared of saying something. So there is an insinuation that law enforcement won't say nothing for fear of backlash. Law enforcement are not coming out and saying anything in a situation that would tell you that the public is still at risk. But then they're not saying anything, which leads you to believe that the police don't feel that they are in immediate risk. It's very, very conflicting and very, very frustrating. And you can tell why the likes of, Kaylee's father would be angry and upset. Let's just carry on and see what else we've got here quickly. The dad continued to blast police Sunday in his interview with Fox, saying they need to release more information to the public. So he is again insinuating there is more information that he feels should be told. I got outraged by them not just coming out and saying this was a woman or a man, because they should know by the amount of strength it took to deliver the injuries. That, you could get a strong female. If someone is completely enraged, I've said this time and time again, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And we've seen it time and time again, that it doesn't just have to be a male. Now, again, does this guy know more than what he is saying? This alluding constantly to it being a male, a statement, a sadistic male. They're just being cowards. There are girls walking around the street right now that deserve to know. They should be looking out for a sadistic male. Police have insisted they can't disclose more information in order to protect the integrity of the investigation, but it has caused local panic. That, to me, that statement alone, saying that they can't disclose more information in order to protect the integrity of the investigation, to me, says that they are building a case. They're building a case against someone. And before people say, yeah, but that is what they're doing, I mean that they have someone in their sights. And they feel that if they say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, then they are going to not be able to get to the point where they can bring this to a conclusion. I hope that's the case. I truly do. Authority recently warned residents that the killer could strike again. Former Moscow police captain Paul Kwiatkowski interpreted the cops saying the attack was targeted as meaning the killer was known to their victims. When you use the words targeted, it means somewhere along the line we met. The retired officer added, somewhere along the line, something bad happened, something that pissed someone off enough to go after these people. Now, I'm going to do a video later on today. Keep your eyes out for it. We are going to briefly talk back on Hannah Claire, and we're going to also be looking at another incident that happened earlier on in the year. There was another stabbing in the area connected to it, and that again went very, very quiet, but there could indeed be a connection here. But keep your eyes out, and I'll catch you all in the next one.